Episode 9. If This Is Grace, Revised. Part 2. The Turn. Pre-chorus 2. If this is grace, then let it stay, even if it strips me bare away. Show me what these eyes can't see, the work you're doing inside of me. Notice the first word, if. Not since this is grace. Not because this is grace. Not the confident, theologically settled declaration of someone who has processed the experience and arrived at a clean conclusion. Just if. A tentative word. A word that still holds a question inside it. A word that says, I am not entirely sure what this is. I cannot yet see the whole shape of it. It hurts in ways I didn't expect grace to hurt. But if this is grace, then let it stay. I want to stay with that if for a moment, because I think we do people a disservice when we edit it out. When we present the turn toward God as something that arrives with full theological certainty and settled confidence. The if is honest. The if is what it actually sounds like from inside an experience that is painful and slow and not yet resolved. To look at what is happening to you and say, I think this might be grace. I can't prove it yet. It doesn't feel the way I expected grace to feel, but I'm going to consent to it anyway. That consent, fragile, uncertain, built on an if rather than a certainty, is one of the bravest things a person can do, even if it strips me bare away. Here is where the consent gets costly, because stripping is not filling. Stripping is the opposite of filling, and everything in part 1 of this song was oriented around the desire to receive, to have, to be given what others had been given. And now the prayer has turned not toward receiving, but toward consenting to be stripped. But I want to be precise about what is being stripped, because I think we can soften this too easily. Describe it as the removing of envy, the clearing of comparison, the loosening of the grip on the wrong things. And yes, those things are part of it, but they are not all of it. What gets stripped away in this process is not just the desires. It is the lies, the false assumptions, the pride, the wrong perceptions of ourselves and God, and what we deserved, and why we lacked, and what that lack meant about us. And underneath all of those things, when the lies are stripped, and the pride is stripped, and the false assumptions are stripped, what is left is something none of us want to see: our shame. When the stripping goes all the way down, what it exposes is the truth of who we are, what we actually hunger for, what we have actually been building our lives around. The full accounting of the comparison and the striving and the selfish ambition and the accusation laid bare, no longer managed, no longer dressed in something more presentable, just there, visible, undeniable. And the experience of that exposure is not relief. It is not the clean, liberating feeling of finally being known. It is the feeling of having nowhere left to hide, of standing in the full light of what is actually true about you and being unable to look away from it. This is why the prayer says, even if. Not especially when, or gladly if, or I welcome the stripping. Even if. Because no one wants this. No one naturally consents to this level of exposure. No one looks at the process of being stripped down to their shame and thinks, yes, please, let that stay. The only reason anyone stays in it is grace. And I want to go further than that. I don't think we would stay in it without God holding us through it. Left to ourselves, The moment the stripping got this deep, we would pull back. We would flee. Not out of weakness, exactly. Out of something more fundamental than weakness. Out of the very human, very reasonable, deeply wired instinct to protect ourselves from the pain of full exposure. Truth at this depth is frightening. The sight of what we actually are, underneath the comparison, underneath the striving, underneath the pride of deserving, that sight is not comfortable to hold. And the natural response to something frightening is to turn away from it. Grace burns and we pull back. That is the honest sequence. Not because we are failing, because we are human. Because the fire is real, and the exposure is real, and the shame that surfaces in the stripping is real. But God holds us through the very grace that frightens us. He does not strip us and step back and watch us manage the exposure alone. He is present in it, holding, not letting go, keeping us in the fire long enough for it to do what it needs to do. Not because he is indifferent to the pain, because he knows what is on the other side of the burning, and we do not yet. So the prayer, the real prayer underneath the lyric, is not just let it stay. It is, God, help me stay. Help me not pull back when the truth of what I am surfaces. Help me not flee when the shame is on display and everything in me wants to cover it back up. Hold me in the fire. Don't let me go before the burning is finished. Show me what these eyes can't see. This line has moved from the chorus. There, the prayer was still asking which direction to look. Is it them or is it me? Here, the direction is settled. The prayer is no longer asking whether the problem is internal. It knows. Now it is asking for the sight to see what is happening in there, what the stripping is revealing, what God is doing beneath the surface of the pain, what is being made in the place where the lies and the pride and the false assumptions used to live. This is a different kind of blindness. Not the blindness of someone who hasn't turned the light around yet. The blindness of someone who has turned the light around can feel the heat of what's being burned, but cannot yet make out the full shape of what is emerging. The work is real. The change is real. But the eyes can't see it clearly yet. And the prayer is simply, show me. I trust that you are working. Show me what that looks like from where you are. The work you're doing inside of me. Not the work I am doing. His work. Happening inside a person who is holding still in the dark, staying in the tension, consenting to the stripping, but not manufacturing the transformation themselves. They are the location of the work. He is the one working. This matters because one of the most discouraging things that can happen in this territory is the subtle belief that the change is something we produce. That if we just try hard enough, resolve firmly enough, discipline ourselves sufficiently, the envy will clear, the shame will lift, the false things will fall away. And when it doesn't, when the trying produces effort but not transformation, the conclusion we reach is that we are failing. But the work is his, which means the pace is his, the method is his, the depth and direction and timing, all his. Our part is not to produce the transformation. Our part is to consent to it, to return to that consent again and again when the fire gets hot enough that we want to pull back. To say, God, help me stay, even if it strips me bare, even when the shame surfaces, even when the truth of what I am is more than I wanted to see. Help me stay. And here is what I have learned about that returning. Every time you come back to it, every time you open your hands again after closing them, every time you say yes again in the dark, after the hunger rose and the shame surfaced and the urge to flee came back, you are not starting over. You are not failing to hold what you had. You are doing the thing. The returning itself is the work. The repeated consent is the sanctification. The yes spoken again in the fire after everything it exposes, that yes is what transformation is made of. If this is grace, then let it stay. God, help me stay.
The hunger fades, the heart's released. I lay my one on holy stone. The fire takes what I call my own. You